Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Brian. We're going to do another episode of Sounds from My Inbox as we check out four smaller bands who are trying to get a little bit of exposure and trying to get some reactions going on. So let's do it. We're going to kick off with a group called The Fierce and the Dead. It says they're they're releasing their first album in 5 years, News from the Invisible World. Definitely reason to celebrate. I just subconsciously threw that in there, I guess. It's the first feature lead vocals from bassist Kev Feezy, blending influences from shoegaze to psychedelia via death metal. Someone described it as the Flaming Lips meets Bolt Thrower and King Crimson. That is quite a combination of things. There's no other way to lead into it. Let's just dive in. Shake the Jar by The Fierce and the Dead. I like the pedal tone over here on the right. Kicking on that fuzz. Really interesting harmony on the vocals. Really nice bass presence here. I really like our two guitars off to the side. They've been transformed almost into a synth-like sounds. We're gonna fade out on this. Hmm. Well, I enjoy it for what it is. It's got a nice fuzzy guitar tone, some driving riffs, not too technical, certainly not. Well, let's talk about what it is first before we talk about what it's not. Driving riffs, great bass work throughout. Drums sit in the pocket, really steady, really consistent back there, and some nice vocal hooks throughout as well. The extended bridge section, I really enjoyed all the harmonic elements, the layering. There's lots of really great ideas going on in the building up of that section. I do feel like it went on just a hair bit too long, but that might have just been me. That's a subjective thing right there. But I liked what it was doing. I like what it ended up getting around to. And the fake out ending was kind of nice, bringing in something that has just a bit more bite and grit to it to finish the track off, which I'm kind of glad they did. I don't know that the fake out ending worked well on its own, but I'm glad that they didn't end on the fade out into the psychedelic concept. I just didn't feel like that was a really strong ending for the style that the music had been generally playing the whole time, though it was really nice to kind of hear that more psychedelic side. I love the dual guitar lines, the vocal harmonies, a little bit of counterpoint that we had throughout there. There's a lot of things that I want to praise on this, and I think bringing up King Crimson in the description is rather appropriate. This is prog, but it's more in the classic realm of prog where it plays around with layers and textures and counterpoint, more of the traditional side of musical experimentation, more than the modern side, which is just very metric. Lots of time signature changes and weird syncopations and stuff like that. So, it definitely shares some realm with King Crimson, but I do find that the bolt thrower and death metal aspects of the description weren't present in this song specifically. They did kind of get a little bit into something a bit more bite there in our outro, but it's still not something I would necessarily describe as death metal. But I'm tempted to check out the album, which it came out on July 28th. I'm a little bit behind on this. And so it's available now. If you're curious about it, you can go check that out. I do think they're a solid band, but I am interested where the death metal aspect comes in. I think they have it in them. I think they can pull out some death riffs, um, and kind of move in that direction while still sticking to this, which will be really cool if they kind of find the medium point there. This feels like it just might be a bit more palatable because it's their single, trying to draw people in, and then they get a bit more aggressive on the album. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going on there. Um, but yeah, that's really my only criticism, and it doesn't have anything to do with the band. It's just the PR that I got told me about something that I didn't quite hear. I was expecting something heavier. It took me a little bit to get into it. Um, but I do dig the structure of this whole thing, which kind of started off with this verse chorus thing with the really fuzzy guitar kind of turning off a little bit and giving us a nice gentler sound, kind of creating this beautiful atmosphere before getting back into that grungy sound, returning back to our verse. We head into a second chorus, and honestly, I kind of forgot this was 5 minutes long. I thought this was a typical 3 minute long track. So when we get into the bridge, and we got the bass, and I'm like, okay, it's going on a little bit. And then we add some layers. I'm like, this song's got to be over soon. But it wasn't, and that was quite a joy, actually, because, like I said, it was a bit too long for me, but I enjoyed the entire bridge, how they stacked it, the pushing the guitars out really far to the sides, changing the tone on them, and kind of making them synthesizer-like, which I thought was very interesting. The vocal harmonies and like the psychedelic part of our fake out ending was really neat too. I'd like to hear a little bit more of that. I feel like this sits really hard in the shoegazy sort of grungy aspect of things. Stoner rock. Would anyone else call this stoner rock? Am I off on that? I'm going basically on timbre with that. It feels like stoner rock because it sounds like stoner rock, but I don't know that I have like the compositional idea of what stoner rock is to really apply that here. It's more of a sound for me. But I think that's what this reminds me of. It has psychedelic elements, it has super fuzzy guitar work, great bass work, and the vocals are just very, I don't want to say calm and soothing, but they're not aggressive. They have a very comfortable vocal style. Everybody does what they do really well. The guitar riffs are groovy, the bass work is solid, the drums are sitting in the pocket. I got nothing but praise for this. I don't think there's anything I would really change. Even the bridge, which I felt was a bit long, I don't know that shortening it in any capacity would be worthwhile. I'd be talking about removing a couple bars tops, and I don't know that it would even make that big of a difference in the long run, because a couple bars is nothing. Alright, with that said, we are going to move on to our second band called Man-Akin. Someone said, "Hey Brian, greetings from India. I watch your YouTube channel and really like your reaction videos. I'm a prog rock musician and wanted to share with you a new video of mine, specifically if you were, or ever were, into retro video games or retro computers in general." So that sounds real fun. I'm always a fan of all of that. So this one's called Man-Akin. The track is called T_error. Not sure if that's... Maybe the song's just called Error. I don't know. I'm trying to think back to like retro computing and old file systems. I don't know. Let's dive into this one though. There is a flashing lights warning on this one if you have a sensitivity to any of that. I don't know what specifically is in store for us, but I do know that there's a warning at the very beginning of this. Look away or scroll down the page a little bit until the music's over. Alright, let's dive in. Man-Akin's Error. Oh no. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot this was music. Really interesting rhythmic idea with the piano. Even the guitar line is on the offbeat. I love that little knocking sound in the background. I'll explain later. Okay. That's pretty close to what I was picturing for the lead line. Yeah, it was kind of funny because, we're getting a bit into this. And I'm like, okay, this section's cool, but it needs a lead melody. It needs something on top of it. And so like I started imagining what I would put on it, and that was pretty close. I mean, you have so much movement on the bottom of this section. Super funky, constant rhythm. You really need something longer held out. So, it's not like it's wild that we sort of had the same idea there, but yeah, we were both on the same track with that. Yeah, I enjoyed this. I feel like this is really good background music, and if this came on, yeah, in the middle of Doom, like a video game, right? I think it's got the energy, it's got the drive, and it doesn't really have anything on top that's going to take your attention away from the other aspect of the multimedia. On its own, though, I think it really worked with the whole story thing and getting a virus and having to watch the red dot. But as soon as I kind of stopped paying attention to the video because I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be, reacting to the music here, I found that it had less substance to it than I think it needs in order to be a standalone idea. It's a perfectly fine YouTube video, and I really love how you bring in the visual aspect. And little side note, I'm really glad that so many of the visuals line up with the rhythm of the music. I feel like too many everything's movie trailers getting a little better about it. Uh, Music videos though, specifically, like they just do not line up with the beat, and it's sort of annoying to me in ways. That's a discussion for another time though. Anyway, I just really appreciate that so much of it was lined up with what the music was doing, not just the beat itself, but actually listening to what the music is doing and saying, well, how can I represent this visually? And I dig that. Even the loading bar at the end, each bar of the loading bar specifically being, I think it was a bar each, 2 bars each. I really like that. It's the little touches that I notice that I've come to appreciate. Musically, everything on here is solid. Good groove, good riffs. I really love the sounds, the guitar tones, the bass tones, the drum tone, the drum production. Even that little knocking sound way in the background of this track. I love all of it. particularly because for some strange reason, it heavily reminds me of an old retro game that I don't know, it wasn't very popular, and it was a genre for consoles that wasn't very popular anyways. So I don't know how many people are actually going to know about this, but it was an old Genesis or Mega Drive game called Zero Tolerance. It was a first-person shooter for the console, and there is something about the way that these instruments sound and the kind of music that's playing that reminds me so much of even the knocking sound. I swear, if you hit the use key against the wall, like not a door, like wall, I swear something like that. That sound is what would play. And it's wild how this just reminded me of a game from like 20 some odd years ago. Oh geez, no, that would make me too old. Like 25 years ago. God, I'm getting old. I just it's wild. So yeah, your disclaimer, especially if you're into retro video games, you might enjoy this. I 100% agree with that. There's some sounds in here that definitely evoke some of that, and like one is just it's too close. How did you do that? But I think my criticism would definitely be to add something else on top of this in places. If you're, unless this is multimedia, which if you want to stick with the idea of the video, I think it's fine in that regards. But as an isolated track, it needs something extra, just a little bit more oomph. But otherwise, I mean, this is groovy. I dug it. Sounds great. It's like a 6 or a 7 right now, and you could really bump it up to that 10 with just a little bit of extra work on it. But keep doing what you're doing. Like, I got to check out anything else on you got 100 subscribers and 5 videos. 3 videos. The other one's supposed to be shorts? Yep, 2 shorts. But you have 2 other songs, Collision Course and The Rift. I gotta check them out. Oh, they're older though. Multiple years ago. This was a couple months ago. Still, I'm intrigued. I'm digging it. Alright, moving on. This next one is a band called Broken Calling. It says they're reaching out regarding the upcoming release titled Virus. This highly anticipated release is scheduled to be available. Blah, blah, blah. I want to inform you that the band recently emerged as the winners of the Metal to the Masses competition. Will be performing at Bloodstock Fest in August. The new release marks an exciting chapter for the band as they introduce Tansy Villain, I hope I pronounced that right, as a new vocalist, which now makes the band fronted by both male and female vocalists, expanding their lineup to 6 members. Alright, y'all got my... Oh, this is supposed to go up to Broken Calling. I forgot I was looking at Man-Akin's page. Y'all got my attention. Dual vocalists, male and female, that's a strong start. Let's dive into this, see what's going on with the track Virus, right after I fix the volume. That would have been too loud for y'all. Let's go. Interesting start. I got a hip-hop beat. I mean, they won Metal to the Masses, so I'm expecting this to get heavier. Oh, there we go. Taking it down a notch, bringing those drums back. Oh, we're gonna build it back up. Oh no, okay. This whole song is just all about groove. Ooh. The layering on that's bonkers. The riffage here is very welcome. Getting away from that low end heavy writing they've been doing this whole song. Oh. Alright, you know when your bassist has more strings than your guitarist, you're in for a good time. Another breakdown, but I'm really digging the clean vocals on this one. So there was some really glitchy drum work there in our final breakdown, and I tried to get a look at the drums if they were playing it, maybe using MIDI triggers, and I didn't get a good look at the drums. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I dig a lot of what's going on here. First of all, it is just groovy all the way through. The riffs, if you're here for melody, yeah, there ain't a lot of that. I did really appreciate the bridge, bringing in some more melodic guitar riffage, those beautiful bass runs, and our lead up to our outro. But for the most part, a lot of the riffage going on is just going to be a couple of notes and rhythmically dancing around the three of them or so. It's to create primarily the illusion of movement. Well, there is movement technically, but it's not a lot. But it's mostly about leaning into the groove, about the rhythmic syncopation. I mean, we kickstarted the song off with that. That paired with solid drumming, constantly driving it forward. They can pull out some ridiculous fills when they need to, but really what they do a lot here, much like the guitarists and the bassists, sort of writing simpler music in order to find that groove and stick with it. The drummer can pull out some extra skill when they need to, but it just isn't the type of music they want to be writing consistently, at least in this track. I don't know about the rest of them, of course. And so we have limited melodic ideas, lots of rhythmic, lots of textural, lots of, well, the percussion, this is rhythm and texture right there. And then the vocals, they bring in rhythm and texture too. We don't get clean vocals until the end there in our final breakdown, which I really liked. I'll touch on a little bit of that later, though. So this song is just very focused on rhythm, groove, and atmosphere. If that's not what you're up for, I don't know that there'll be a lot going on here for you. And I'm even a bit apprehensive about it. I love the dual vocals. I love the layered harshes. I love the more technical guitar licks that they have in here, the melodic writing from the guitarist, those ridiculous bass licks that we had towards the end. Those are the moments I loved, but they were so far and few between. Even there at the end with the breakdown and the clean vocals on top, I really dug that. That was a great atmosphere. And I kind of wish they would continue to push in this direction a little bit. Now, maybe that's just not their jam. Maybe that's not what they want to do, and that is perfectly fine. But I do know a lot of bands in this metalcore style tend to soften up over the years, so I might be checking in on them in another album or two and see where they're at on the cleans and the melody. Just because I think those were the parts that stood out to me. But as a metalcore song, what they're trying to do and not really judging them on things that they're not aiming for, I think this is a fantastic track. The groove is solid throughout. The riffs are punchy and meaty all the time. And like I said, they will check you a little bit too. You get too stuck into that groove, and the bass is like doo 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 doo. Like, hey, wake up a little bit. Don't just start headbanging away. We got some chops too. And I dig that. It's metalcore plus. Even having the dual vocals, layering up the harshes. I mean, this is all things that I think are their way of leaning into the metalcore sound, which is very popular right now. Lots of people are making music like this, but sitting above the competition. They're really taking it up to the next level. It's metalcore with chops. It's metalcore with dual vocals. I mean, it's no surprise to me that they won that Metal to the Masses competition. I don't know what they were up against, but as far as metalcore goes, these guys they're bringing it. They're raising the stakes a little bit in ways that most bands aren't and most bands can't. Not that they lack the skill. They just, a lot of bands aren't looking to have two lead vocalists. Not looking to have two growlers or two harsh vocalists. So, yeah, I think these guys have a very bright future ahead of them, and they're going to change the game a little bit on the way. And like I said, I'm going to be keeping an eye on them. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy who they are right now, but if they soften up a little bit, I might have to listen to their album a lot. Although, like I said, I probably should check them out. Let me see, what do they got out right now? Well, this is their new vocalist, so their old stuff might not have the dual vocals on it. Oh, they got a live video from their Bloodstock performance. Their last music video was a year ago. They had a couple a year ago. Oh, that was a cover. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check a little bit of this out, see what's going on. There's a very good chance I'll be listening to a lot of them in the future. Fantastic job. Another one I don't think I have a lot of criticism for, other than, my own taste in music. To wrap this up, we're going to look at a group, band, artist called Hacktivist. The only thing I got out of the PR was that they're a UK-based rap metal gent group, which sounds interesting. I mean, metal and gent, if it's gent, then that's metal. It's kind of baked into the term there. But rap gent sounds neat. So let's dive into this and see what Hacktivist is bringing to the table today with the track Rep the H.
I represent the H, 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 H. Never friend, cause I don't even represent a race. Haters get the fuck up out my face. I represent the stars in space. Spit it one take. There is no saving grace. I represent love, not hate. Spit a sick bar, that's one of my traits. Rappers won't smoke, then I got a whole eight. Take off your head like Henry the Eighth. Turn this thing into the planet of the apes. I represent streams and lakes. See these tapes, this ain't about the money that I make. When I say I drop E, I ain't talking about the pills that I take. I represent real, not fake. There is no judge that would represent my case. Bionic scriptures, I spit them in your face. Face. Sleeping on H, then you
Really
better
nice
stay
production
awake.
on the
Murder a
vocals.
rapper, then I turn up at his wake. Stand on his coffin and I cut a few shapes. Two glow sticks like I was in a rave. Came from the gut, had a few close shaves. On these 8 strings, I scrimp and I scrape. Took it too far, then you better tell James. I represent flames, fire with fire, ain't nothing changed. I represent strength cause I'm getting hella gains. Any disrespect is a fucking disgrace. Come on for the mains, speak for the gang cause I represent mates. Oh fuck's sake, there goes Jay, bare flow sprayed. I represent freedom of speech, I can speak all day. Oh shit, wait, gone too far again. Spare cold flow, now you won't need a cardigan. I represent cash, I don't wanna use my card again. Systems clash, I ain't talking about a car I'm in. I represent peace, I don't represent punishing. Got a prolific style, keep on flourishing. But I still eat an MC if he looks nourishing. Don't encourage him.
Oh, interesting little switch up right here.
I don't represent anything adverse. Send me the track and I'll add another verse. I don't represent keyboard warriors. Shit gets murked, spitters get sent to the nurse. Literally killing with words. I represent the gangsters, I represent the nerds. I represent the man them, I represent the birds. I represent the skaters grinding the curbs. I represent my neighbours, they look like the burbs. My flow sick, don't need no medicine. When I go sleep, let the devil in. Beating the ground like Dexter's, getting in. Nerd to the beat, no drama. I'm not here for the beef or drama. Represent anger, angle karma. Switch like Bonnie and Clyde. I'm burying guys, no mask of disguise. I represent rage, I represent hate. Must spit blood, spill all over the place. Hate your back, we make 'em rock like a panic attack. Kids at war with knives and straps. Hammers and bats, fuck that. I represent shelling down gigs and tracks. I'll kill a rapper on a beat, put him in a body bag, ship him out like Amazon tracks.
Hacktivist 2023, Jay Burney, JJ, let's fucking go!
All the J's, 23 out of H.
All right. I don't really have a lot of thoughts for that one. A lot of it ended up being very trappy with a lot of closed hi-hat work, occasional bass kick stuff going on. And really the predominant sound is that eerie toy piano thing going on in the background. That makes up a majority of the track right there. The gent part comes in and adds a bunch of punch, which I like the way it works. We have this lighter, more atmospheric stuff, and that sort of acts like a verse. I don't know if, I think the verse itself, if we're looking at the lyrics, the song was just verse. The chorus was something totally different. That was the rep the H part. So it would divide the verse up between the lighter sections and the heavier sections where the guitars come in. And I enjoy what's going on here when the guitars come in. It brings in a punch, it adds a little bit of impact, and it adds some aggression that I think can work well with certain vocal deliveries. I think our first rapper occasionally leaned into it, but for the most part kind of stuck with a little bit more of that softer sided of delivery that I think works better with the trap sounds. When our second rapper came in, he really leaned into the aggressiveness of the guitars, adding a little bit of bite, vocal compression to the delivery, and then eventually in his verse also bringing in the harshes on the outside. Although I think those were backing tracked because at least in the video it didn't look like he was physically doing anything to change his delivery, and it was also layered against a clean regular delivery, which I think is what he was doing in the video. But regardless, we do get the layered harshes there, which I think the aggression of the guitars really want. It like pulls it out so well, and it just, it's an aspect that I don't think the first rapper really leaned into too much. Aside from that, though, I mean, that's pretty much the whole song. I enjoyed their flow. I think the second verse for the first rapper started off a little dodgy as far as rhythms and rhymes and syllabic control, stuff like that. I don't know what the lyrics were, so I don't know if the actual content of the rapping was better, but the delivery of it was a little rough. But he got back into it, had a real strong ending. But other than that, both of these vocalists here have strong flow. They have a really great delivery system. Uh, delivery system. But anyways, the way that they write words, bring them together, the way that they sound against the beat and all that, it sounds good to listen to. This is the type of rap that I find interesting, is actually being able to hear the syllables and listening to all of the fun sound play going on, which I guess would be like, word play is when you get the double entendres and the double meanings and the hidden depth and all that. The sound play would be how the syllables dance around each other and work. Can we roll with that? Did I just coin a phrase there? I don't know. But I really love the sound play of this group. The rapping sounds good to listen to throughout most of this track. But like I said, I don't know that the gent really added too much. The metal didn't add too much to it other than the ending. And I don't know if that was just because the first rapper isn't a big fan or doesn't have the capacity to get those more aggressive, biting delivery out, or if this was just a song that highlighted the second rapper's more aggressive vocals. But I do think it generally works, though. It's not like the gent detracted from anything. It just didn't feel like it was worked into the song through totality. And it felt more like an afterthought, where sometimes we can just amp up the aggression a bit, but it wasn't really worked into the overall ideas. All right, that's gonna wrap this one up then. Those are my thoughts on The Fierce and the Dead, Man-Akin, Broken Calling, and Hacktivist. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on any of this are. Any of this is. As usual, my links will not be in the description. If you're interested in checking out merch or streaming platforms or websites or social media of any of these four groups, I'll have all those links down in the description so you can easily get to what you're looking for. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. We're going to listen to a couple of special selections. Otherwise, remember to be critical, not cynical about the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.